far. Everybody's a one. Cherie is a one. Sophia, iPhone is a one. Hadis is a one. First time home buyer. Anna, her first time home buyer. As I suspected, many times with these webinars, these are most valuable to the first time home buyer. Diane, first time home buyer. Awesome. This is going to be very beneficial for all of you. Lashwanda, first time home buyer. Monique, Renee, Charlita has bought a home before. We got one. So Charlita has done this before. She's got a little bit of experience with this. We're still going to cater this to you, Charlita. Don't worry. There's going to be a lot of value you're going to get out of this. I promise. Because doing this only one time is not enough. We got another first time home buyer on an iPhone. So yeah, as I suspected, and as is usually the case, the bulk of our people on the call right now are first-time home buyers. This is going to be invaluable to you. What will be more valuable is the one-on-one consult that we do after this, if you decide to go that route. But you're going to get a lot of information out of this, and I'm looking forward to taking you through it. Before I get started, I want to give you guys a sense for who I am. Whenever I do any of these things, I want to know who I'm talking to. I married my high school sweetheart, Robin, 30 years ago. We met at Sherwood High School in Sandy Spring. We both grew up in Olney, Maryland. We still live in Olney, Maryland. My two children, Madison and Bennett, both also graduated from Sherwood High School. If my dogs, Katie and Camden, and my cat Winnie went to high school, they would have gone to Sherwood High School too. We are only born and bred, all of us, and we've all basically had the same experience. Very deep roots here in Montgomery County. My parents moved me here when I was 7 years old it was 1978 actually, not 1977. So I've lived here for that long. That's a long time. We can all do the math. I spent 22 years in the home building industry. I was a salesperson for home builders. So basically doing what I do now, but doing it for an employer who hired me to sell homes on their behalf. It was very valuable experience to learn how a home is built and what goes into the construction of a home and what to look for when you're looking at homes to make sure that the construction on these homes was done properly, and also understanding a little bit about building code. I very much believe in giving back to the community in which that has been so incredibly generous and kind and good to me. We chose the charity, the Children's Miracle Network, as the main charity that we contribute to. And we chose that first and foremost because my niece Gracie, when she was born, she had a heart condition and she was admitted to Children's Hospital, which is the hospital network that the Children's Miracle Network serves, and they saved her life. And she's in great shape now. She's pregnant with her first child, happily married, and everything. Children's Miracle Network saved her life. So I am the largest contributing realtor in the state to that particular charity. I try to keep my interactions light. I try to inject as much humor and levity as possible and try to keep what could otherwise be a stressful experience as stress-free as possible and let me wear the stress for you. That's what I'm getting paid to do. So enough about me. If anyone has any further questions about me, probably we can save that for our one-on-one so we don't bore everybody else with that. All right. Very important point here. The only thing standing between you and your home is knowing your exact numbers and having a clear roadmap. Precisely the goal of this webinar. Precisely the reason I'm doing this webinar is to help you see that roadmap, jump onto that road with that map in your hand to guide you through the process and have a good, confident understanding about what you're about to embark upon. Who is this for? Well, we know, we sure do hope, based upon the fact that so many people are first-time home buyers, that this is geared toward first-time home buyers, which often are renters. So that would be category one. And if you are currently a renter, why don't you go ahead and put a one into the chat so we'll have a good sense for how many people on here are currently renting. And if you're putting a one up there, I'm going to just go ahead and assume that Sophia, Cherie, and Charlita, Shawanda, Anna, Lashwanda, and that's it so far. And B. Horton renters, you guys understand, I'm sure, that you're paying someone else's mortgage every month. I did the math for somebody today. They were paying $2,500 a month in rent, and just a quick, very easy math on that is that's $30,000 a year that's going towards somebody else's asset. as opposed to that same 30,000 if you had a $2,500 mortgage payment. And not all of that is interest. Some of that is, I mean, not all of that is principal. Some of that is interest. But even if $1,000 of it is going toward principal a month, you're knocking down that principal by $12,000. That's your money. That's your $12,000 instead of giving somebody else $30,000 in that same scenario. This also is going to appeal to future buyers, people that are maybe living at home right now, possibly still renting, but need to work out a few things before you're able to buy a home. And it might be that you're 6 months, maybe you're a year, maybe you're 2 or even 3 years out, but you are a future buyer. And kudos to you for jumping on this webinar. And if that is you, please put a two up in that chat. That way we'll know how many of you future buyers we have out there. I am not doing this for only people that are looking to buy in the next 3 to 5 months. Those people I'm very happy to be here to help with and assist with. Lushwanda fell into two categories. She not only is a renter, but she's also probably looking a little more than 6 months down the road, which is great. You're doing the right thing. You're going to be prepared when the time comes, and when you are ready, you're going to be armed with the knowledge you need to move forward. Move up buyers. I don't think we have a whole lot of move up buyers on this call, but if we do, that means a move up buyer is somebody who's living in a home currently and wants to buy their next home in their progression. Typically, that's someone who bought a small condo when they were single or just married with no children, and now their family is starting to expand and they need a little bit more space, or their kids are growing up and they need a little more space. That's your move up buyer, the condo to townhome, or the townhome to single family, or the small single family to large single family. Those are your move up buyers. I don't get a ton of move up buyers on these webinars, but I do occasionally get them, and it is there's valuable information on here for you as well. If you're a move up buyer, toss a three in there. Let me know that you're on here so I can make sure that I cater some of this presentation to you. The fourth category is kind of everybody. That's anybody out here. Thanks, Michelle, for letting us know that you are a move up buyer. So I do have a move up buyer to talk to. Anyone who wants clarity on your buying power is a four. That's everybody who's on here, because if you didn't want clarity on your buying power, I don't think you would have taken the time to register and attend a webinar with me. So everyone on here wants that. And we're going to talk a lot about what that clarity involves as we progress through this presentation. That's me. I'm Andy Rubin. You already knew what I look like because here I am on your camera, but that's just a small little synopsis of me. I'm not going to waste too much time reading to you guys right now, but that's who I am, and there's a little bit more to me than that, and we can talk about that on our one-on-ones. All right, let's talk now about the cost of inaction. By not purchasing a home, what is that costing you? The first one, I love the way this is worded, that if you are renting a home, you are paying 100% interest. When we hear people complaining that the mortgage rates went up from 5.5% to 6%, that's painful for some people, but it's not as painful as paying 100% interest, which is exactly what you're doing when you're renting a home. You're paying a mortgage, as it says on there, but it's not your mortgage that you're paying. You're paying your landlord's mortgage. And that's why they are landlords. That's why they take on the risk of owning another property and renting it out, because it's a for-profit investment for them. And you are the reason that they are making profit on it. You're on this call because you don't want to be the reason for that anymore. I know that. Everyone on here knows that as well. Again, you wouldn't be taking the time to be on here if you didn't understand that, at least to some extent. Having it worded that way, though, does shed a pretty bright light on the fact that 100% interest. Lost equity growth. In the next slide, I'm going to show you a chart that shows what the real estate market has done since 1900. And the majority of the growth has been since 1960. But, people express concerns, well, the real estate market might be going down or there might be a bubble, and that's not wrong. But if you look at a long-term chart, the arrow just continuously goes up. So there might be blips in that chart, but ultimately you're going from A to B. Whether it takes 5 years to get there, 10 years to get there, you are going up. And that's important to understand as well. No idea how that X just got drawn on the screen or if you can see it, but I didn't do that. The stress of uncertainty. That's what we're going to try to clear up today. That's what this is. The goal of this webinar is to clear up the stress of uncertainty, give you people confidence to move forward and realize the dream of home ownership, or Michelle, the dream of moving up to a larger home, a bigger home, a home that more meets your family's current needs. That's what we're going to try to alleviate, is some of that stress of that uncertainty. This is the chart that I was referencing. So if you follow my cursor here, that's 1900. That's 1960. It stayed relatively flat until about here, 1950. The housing market did. Housing prices didn't go up a whole lot back then. I venture to guess none of us were alive back then. I was not. Not shortly thereafter, but I was not alive back then. You can see around 1960 that it starts to move up, but gradually. And then we hit the real boom in the real estate market. And I would take my cursor and point it from here and draw the line from there to there. That's the steep incline in the housing price index, which is a complex index that takes into account all aspects of house prices. But to make it as simple as possible, let's just call it house pricing. It's not what it is, but for all intents and purposes, that is what it is. It accounts for inflation and other factors as well. That's for an economics class, though, not for a webinar. But for all intents and purposes, this is what housing has done. This blip right here, this occurred. If anybody saw the movie The Big Short, if anybody didn't see the movie The Big Short, when this webinar is over, go watch it. It's an incredible movie. And if you're interested in this, it'll explain what happened here. It was extraordinary irresponsibility in regulations by the federal government and the lending institution as a whole that led to a foreclosure crisis. So a very steep incline once the regulations were taken down, and then a foreclosure crisis, which caused prices to go down. It's really the only major blip on this whole line since 1960. And it was purely due to irresponsibility and greed. The hope is that that will never happen again, and that we as a country have learned our lesson from that. Keep our fingers crossed that that's the case. There's still some insanity going on in our government, different webinar. But this is a blip. This is not the norm. It needs to be noted. It did happen, and it's not out of the question that one day that couldn't happen again, but it's not likely. It never happened before that. It hasn't happened since. Even when we had a pandemic, it didn't happen. So this slide is my favorite slide, because the cost of inaction is very well illustrated with this slide. The value of real estate continues to go up. If you're not in the game, you're on the sidelines. If you're in the game, you're going up with it. If you're on the sidelines, you're just waiting for your opportunity to get in the game, and it keeps getting harder and more expensive to get into the game. All right, the broken model, the model that a lot of people that don't attend a great webinar like this one take in pursuing their purchase of their first home, or Michelle, their move up home. Endless scrolling. Like, you can drive yourself crazy. The internet is an amazing thing, but you can drive yourself crazy scrolling and looking at homes before you know what you can afford, or that maybe there are going to be challenges involved with getting your credit to where you need it to be in order for you to afford a home, or looking under what you can afford because you don't know how to evaluate what you can afford, and looking at condos when you could be looking at single family homes. We don't want you to do that. That's hopefully what you're going to be able to avoid after sitting through this webinar. Guessing games. All right, online calculators. They're cool. They're fun. They don't know where you're looking to buy. Some of the most advanced ones, you can put a zip code in and it can help, but they don't know the homeowners association dues. They don't know any assessments that are included with the specific addresses that you're looking at. They may not be aware of local taxes. They might be available of state taxes, but like the city of Rockville has an additional tax that the calculators might not know that. It's a recipe for getting misinformation. It's still a good guide. I'm not saying not to use them. I would, in fact, say the opposite. Use them. But just understand, when you use them, you're not getting the true picture. In order to get the true picture, you need to consult with a professional. And in that case, it would be a professional loan officer, not a professional realtor, not always. I have a realtor on my team who's also spent 9 years as a loan officer. So in that case, it's a little different. But the realtor that you work with will likely refer you to a loan officer who can help guide you through that. And a referral from a realtor is a whole lot better than walking into a bank or going on to Rocket Mortgage and talking to a bot. You want to get a true referral from somebody who you trust because they're going to give you someone that they trust. Rush decisions. Okay, this is another one that happens all the time. People get real excited about going to buy a home. They see the perfect home for themselves. They call their realtor. They say, "Let's go look at this home." The realtor did not prepare them properly for the home buying process. They go see the home of their dreams. It's going to be competitive. There's going to be multiple offers, and they want to write an offer, but they never got pre-approved. And you can't buy a home without a pre-approval. No one's going to sell you their home without seeing from your bank that you are qualified to buy the home. They're going to take any one of the other offers that comes with a pre-approval. So you definitely want to have a clear pathway, and that pathway includes getting pre-approved and understanding your buying power before you go see it these homes and fall in love with one that you're ultimately going to miss out on because your agent didn't properly prepare you. The clarity blueprint. So this is what we do to take all of those missteps and point you in the right direction. We're going to have if we have our one-on-ones, we're going to analyze your specific financial situation, not just how much money you earn, but also your credit score, how much debt you have, what you're comfortable paying. You might qualify for a mortgage of $4,000 a month, but you want to also travel. You like to, go to concerts. You're planning on buying a new boat. You want to have money for something else. You may not want to spend 4 grand a month on your mortgage. So just because you can qualify for it, that's great. We also want to know, what are you comfortable paying? So we're going to analyze your finances together and figure out what we can afford. And that's going to be in conjunction probably with a loan officer. Then we're going to talk specifically about what neighborhoods specifically work for you, where you want to be. If you want to be within 15 miles of where your office is, let's say you work on Rockville Pike, 1111 Rockville Pike. You want to be within 15 miles of that address so that your commute isn't horrible every day. We can do a search for every single home in your price range that has your requirements. Minimum 3 bedrooms, 2 full baths, minimum of 1,700 square feet, only within that radius of 15 miles from 1111 Rockville Pike. We're going to map that out, and we're going to create a customized portal that's only going to show you homes that meet your criteria and what you're looking for, so you can stop wasting time on Zillow and Realtor.com and Home.com looking at homes that aren't going to work for you, even if you love their interior floor plans. And then by doing all of this, we're going to give you guys the confidence to move forward. This is a very stressful, doesn't have to be, can be a very stressful experience for you because, number one, it will be, in all likelihood, the largest investment you've ever made in your life. Unless you've bought other properties before and you're downsizing, and I don't think we have any downsizers on this call, but if we do, tell me you're downsizing in there so I can make sure that I cater to you a little bit. If you're not downsizing, then yes, this will be the most expensive investment you've ever made. That alone induces a lot of stress. That alone is reason to be confident that you know what you're doing and that you're working with a professional who's going to be able to guide you through this process and make sure that you don't make any mistakes. In addition to that, there's a lot that goes into a real estate transaction. There's a lot of paperwork. There's a lot that you need to understand. There's a lot of, I don't want to call them hidden costs, but costs you need to understand. HOA fees versus condo fees versus having an HOA and a condo fee. What that means to you. What's the difference between a condo and a fee simple home? And what does that mean to me? Those things that you need to know all those. And you don't, I say need. You should want to know all of those things as you go forward. You don't necessarily need to know them if you're working with a realtor or a real estate professional who already understands all those things for you, but you should be able to move forward confidently, understanding and knowing all of those things. So that's part of the clarity blueprint is empowering and enabling you with the knowledge to move forward with confidence. All right. Before we go further, you're being deceived every single day. That's dramatic, but there's some validity to it as well. You're seeing influencers on social media. You're hearing from friends or family that maybe have transacted once or twice and bought a few homes and are telling you that it's a bad time to buy a home. You've seen headlines now, these headlines that a lot of the a lot of the mainstream media news outlets put out are designed for you to click on them. They want you to click on them, or they, in many cases, people just see the headline. So you're seeing headlines that can be scary at times. Interest rates set to rise for the third straight quarter, or housing set to go down for the first time since 2008. Most of those are opinion based. Some of them are fact based. Interest rates, when they say interest rates went up for the third straight quarter, it's true. But we'll talk about what does that really mean to you as we get further along in this presentation. You're gonna the main point here is you're gonna get a lot of information coming at you from all different places. I'm making this up on the fly right now. I've never said this before, but if I'm going to get an operation done on my knee, I don't really care what my neighbor's opinion is on my operation that I'm getting on my knee. I don't really care what my coworker thinks about, how an ACL surgery should be performed. I really only care about what the doctor thinks about how that ACL surgery should be performed. And that's who I'm going to ask to guide me through what I need to know about my ACL surgery. So listen to the people that are advisors to you. Watch the TikToks, read the headlines, but take your true real advice from the real estate professional that you have hired to help you. If you've hired the right person, they're going to give you the right information, whether it's good or bad, whether it encourages you to buy now or buy later. They're going to give you the right information. Take what you see from these other places and combine it with what you're hearing from the professional. And in my opinion, give a whole lot more weight to what you're hearing from the professional than what you're hearing from an influencer on TikTok or from the person in the cubicle next to you. I like that quote on the bottom there. The only thing standing between you and your dream home is a limiting belief. So that's the probably the only thing that stood between everyone on this call and purchasing a home is their limiting belief or their lack of confidence, which falls into that limiting, it drives the limiting belief. So that's what we're trying to break through tonight. All right. We're going to talk about a lot of myths and those clickbait headlines, those coworkers in the cubicle next to you, those neighbors, those family members, they are part of the procurement of these myths. So make sure, again, value what you hear from other places, but always take it to your real estate professional. A lot of people are under the belief they need 20% down to buy a home, which could not possibly be further from the truth. There's plenty of loans out there that are well under that, including FHA, which is used by most first-time home buyers, which is 3.5% down. But in addition to FHA, there are also 3% down and 5% down conventional loans. FHA is the Federal Housing Administration. I don't want to dive too deep into the mortgage world right now. We'll save that for our one-on-ones. But they are loans that are basically provided by the federal government to help first-time home buyers. Anyone can use them. You don't have to be a first-time home buyer, but they're geared toward first-time home buyers, and they allow you to come up with a much smaller down payment than typical conventional loans do. In addition to that, there's other programs called the Maryland Mortgage Program. Again, I'm not going to dive too deep into this, but there are programs out there where you can get a grant that will actually pay the entire down payment for you in the form of a forgivable loan that you don't make payments or pay interest on. So let's say 5% down on a home is $20,000, making up numbers. They will grant you $20,000. It is a loan. And when you sell the home 20 years from now, 10 years from now, whatever it is, you have to pay back that $20,000, but you haven't paid one dime of interest on it. It's a free $20,000 to borrow to help you get into the home. Right. So there's plenty of programs out there. Don't be misled by this myth that you need 20% down to buy a home. Far from true. I need perfect credit to get approved because my coworker told me that you need perfect credit to get approved. Nope. There's plenty of loans out there. I believe 640 is the minimum credit score for FHA. So there doesn't mean you're going to get the best rate and terms. I want to be clear about that. If your credit is not ideal, you can still find a loan. It doesn't mean that your interest rate is going to be the same as someone with an 800 credit score is going to be offered because they're a much lower risk if they have a better credit score. But it also doesn't mean you can't get a loan. So don't be discouraged if you have low credit. And another important point while we're here is there's an old saying in this business that you are marrying the home and dating the rate. I'm being quiet right now so that you can think about that for a second. You're making a long-term commitment to the home. You're making a short-term commitment to the rate. Because if you don't get ideal terms on your loan when you first apply, because your credit is low or lower, wait until your credit is higher and then go refinance your loan. Now you got rid of that first bad date, and now you brought in you're speed dating with the much more attractive loan that's been waiting for you all along. In addition to that, if you think rates are higher now and they're going to go down in the near future, you are dating the rate. So don't let the rate drive your decision to buy or not to buy. We're going to talk a little bit more about that as we continue through this as well, but that's an important point, and it's a very good axiom to live by when in the real estate world. You are marrying the home, you are dating the rate. Timing the market is a trap. 100% true. When rates dropped, they dropped big time during COVID. And when that happened, prices skyrocketed because demand went through the roof. So, yeah, you got a great rate on the home. That's awesome, but you paid $70,000 more than the home cost before the rates dropped from 6 to 3. So, great, you got your rate, the rate that you're dating. I mean, you married that rate if you got 3%, but you just married the home price that's $70,000 higher because you were one of 10 offers and the competition was huge to get the home. So when rates go up, might be arguably the best time to buy your home because what are you doing with the rate? You don't have to put it in there. I know you already know what it is. You're dating the rate. So when the rates are up, prices go down because competition goes down because the other dummies out there aren't buying homes because the rates are too high. But you sat through this webinar, so you're not a dummy. You know that's a great time to go buy a home because the competition is lower. And when the rates go down, I'm going to dump this rate and I'm going to start dating the better rate. So don't let, first of all, rates are not high right now. They're historically right where they typically are. They're the same as they were this time last year. They're in the sixes and the historic average is around 7. So rates are only high right now relative to what they were during COVID, which was extraordinarily once in a lifetime low. So rates are not high, rates are normal right now. Just wanted to get that out of the way. And I haven't had any questions on chat for a long time. Every time I look up, I'm looking up at the chat. So if you guys have questions about anything I'm talking about, throw them into that chat. I'm saying a lot, I know. And if you have questions regarding interest rates, etc., throw it in there. And if you want to save it for our one-on-one, that works too. When choosing a realtor, I don't even buy a pair of sneakers anymore without reading reviews of those sneakers online. Like I won't buy anything on Amazon if it doesn't have at least a 4 out of 5, usually a 4.5 out of 5 stars, and plenty of reviews. So when you are choosing a realtor to work with, whether it be me or someone on my team or any other realtor out there, somebody who your neighbor referred to you, somebody who you work with, nephew, a family member, go online, see what others have said about them. If no one has said anything about them, that's a red flag. It probably means they're not doing a whole lot of business. And if they don't have good reviews and glowing reviews, I would probably look in another direction unless you've known this person forever and you fully trust them. Cherie asked a question. Thank you so much, Cherie. What is the current average interest rate for this area? Great question. It is definitely driven by your individual financial position, your credit score, and things like that. But if taking all of it and putting it into a vacuum, I think you're looking at around 6.5% on most loans right now, and that has been trickling upward over the past few weeks. In particular, we've seen a rise in the interest rates over the past few weeks. It's literally right where it was a year ago today. I just had a realtor correct me about that on a phone call today when I said that rates are higher than they were last year. And she said, nope, they aren't. They're literally exactly the same as they were on this date last year. And she was right. Um, Thank you for the question, Cherie. Okay, this goes without saying, and I think I mentioned it early on. I can't build your specific roadmap on a webinar with several people on it. That is the goal of the one-on-ones that I'm hoping that you will all schedule with me when we're done. That's when I can learn specifically about all of you, and what your specific situations are, and then provide you with your specific roadmap. That's ultimately the goal, is for hopefully you get something out of this webinar, enough to where you'd like to schedule a one-on-one with me and go through all of these different items and build your own roadmap. Hadis, thank you so much for the question. It's another good question. Should I work with a lender before choosing a real estate agent or vice versa? There's not a specific answer to that question. I have my own opinion on that. I would choose your realtor first, and I would have your realtor give you, once you've chosen your realtor, hopefully, not because they're your coworker's nephew and they suggested that you work with them, but because you've done your research into that realtor and you are making a choice based upon extensive research into that person and figuring out that they were the right realtor for your specific needs. Once you've done that, it is fair to say that you should be able to put your trust into that person, to where if they've got lenders that they've been working with for an extensive amount of time and they give them their endorsement, I don't know how you could get a better endorsement from anybody. Even your cubicle mate who just got their loan done last week and had a great experience. That's one person telling you what their experience was with one lender, as opposed to a realtor. Let's say I'll use myself. I'm going because I know myself better than I know anybody else. I've been in the industry for 30 years. I've probably worked with 500 different lenders over my career, and I've whittled those lenders down into the five-ish lenders that I work with almost exclusively, and each of them I use for a different type of buyer: a first-time home buyer, a person that's high wealth and doesn't need any hand holding or doesn't need any additional programs like the Maryland Mortgage Program. I like to equate it to I don't even golf, but I like to equate it to when you go out golfing, you bring out a golf bag that has a putter, a 5-iron, and a driver. You're not going to use your putter for a drive. You're going to use your driver for a drive, and you're not going to use your driver for a putt. I'm not going to use a lender that is not going to be consistent with what your specific roadmap is for you. I'm going to pull out of my golf bag. That's really my where I keep my arrows for my bow and arrow. Out of my golf bag, I'm going to pull out the club that makes the most sense for you. So I hope that answers your question. My advice on that: first of all, you can go either way. If you find the lender you like first, you can even ask them for a referral on a realtor. My advice would be, though, to find your realtor first and then use one of that realtor's referrals as your lender. I've got another question. I love it. It's from a Zoom user, nameless. I'm self-employed. I'm reading this out loud. I hope that's okay. I know this is your personal information, but you are pretty anonymous as Zoom user. I'm self-employed with $45,000 per year and a 700 credit score. First time home buyer, can do something. Okay. Um, the income, it depends on what price range you're looking for. And what I would do with you is put you in touch with a lender who would then tell you what your buying power is based upon those numbers, which is exactly what the one-on-ones are for. This is a perfect question for us to go over. I'm glad you asked it. It's a perfect question for us to go over in a one-on-one, excuse me, and then I can cater your specific financial situation to a lender who can help guide you. And there definitely is a price point for you. And what that lender can tell you is, based upon you have a very strong credit score and you have a $45,000 income, or let's say no debt. Based upon that, your debt to income ratio which is a formula that lenders use to determine whether or not you can qualify for a loan, will allow you to go up to X price, $150,000. So then you're looking at properties that are in that price range, as opposed to not knowing that and spending your day scrolling on Zillow looking at $500,000 homes. Sophia Johnson has a question. Where do you start if your credit score is less than ideal, but you have high income? That's another great question. Most lenders that I work with have the ability to refer you to a credit counseling service that can help you build your credit. So, especially if you've got that high income, that's going to be a big asset for you as far as helping to repair your credit because using that high income to pay off any outstanding debts. And it might take a little while for that it has to season after you pay it off. It's going to take potentially a little bit of time after you pay those off for your credit to start going up. But they can point you in, they can give you, I'm giving you a roadmap to buying a home. And on that roadmap includes another roadmap, which would be a roadmap to include to improving upon your existing credit score. And that would be a piece, again, just a step off of my roadmap onto another little detour on a different roadmap that's going to get you back onto our roadmap so that we can point you back in the right direction. But I would definitely start now on helping to rebuild your credit score because just waiting around, nothing's going to happen. So the sooner you get started on that journey, the sooner you can put yourself back on the roadmap to home ownership. So many great questions, guys. I love it. Keep them coming. Again, every time I look up, I'm looking to see if anybody's asked a question. So keep them coming. You're welcome, Sophia. All right, back to our presentation. All right, the complete clarity package, we've talked about this at this point at length, but we're going to go into a deep dive into your particular financials. We're going to talk about where exactly you want to be and where it makes sense for you in the county, if it is Montgomery County that you'd like to be in. We're going to talk about which lender I'm going to pull out of my golf bag and introduce you to to get you started down that part of the journey, which is a very important part of the journey. And we're going to talk about your next steps. And that is what we'll do on a one-on-one if you do, in fact, choose to schedule one. Got another question from an anonymous iPhone user. Bad credit, but if I put cash at 20% down, can I still get a decent APR? Unfortunately, even with 20%, the banks look at a credit score as probably the biggest driver for your interest rate because they're assessing risk. It's an algorithm that assesses risk, and if the credit score dictates that you have been a bad credit risk in the past, it also indicates that you might be a bad credit risk in the future, and that will drive the interest rate and the available programs that might be available to you. So great to have 20% down. The best use of that cash at this time might be toward getting your credit score improved. And that's something we could talk further about. Renee, Lala Renee. I have to start with credit as well. I have decent income. So yeah, same answer. With decent income, and if there's any cash there that's available, it's a great start to helping to get your credit history fixed a little bit so that you can get the best rate possible and possibly in some cases get a rate at all, get a loan at all, because in some cases you won't be able to get a loan depending upon what that credit score is. Hadith, I love, guys, these questions. You're making my night. I'll stay on here all night with you if you want to. Just keep on asking. What's your experience helping buyers purchase MPDU homes in Montgomery County, especially in Rockville? Have you represented buyers through that process, and are there any challenges or strategies that are unique to Rockville's MPDU program compared to the county's MPDU program? Okay. Really good question. MPDU, for anyone who doesn't know what that is a moderately priced dwelling unit. These are homes that were set aside by the county. So every time a developer or a builder builds a community with more than 50 homes in it, they are required to dedicate a certain percentage of those homes to the MPDU program. The MPDU program is designed to provide housing for people in nice neighborhoods with good schools that otherwise might not have been able to find a home that they could afford in that area. The intent is for firefighters, police officers, nurses, school teachers, and just generally people who are good neighbors and good homeowners, but just can't afford to live in the community of choice. So these MPDUs are set aside for them. And it's a program that's done directly through the county. Realtors are not involved in the MPDU process. So Hadis, to answer your question, I don't have experience in MPDUs. I have knowledge about MPDUs, but because realtors are not involved in that process, I just don't embark on any real appointments for homes within the MPDU program. But I do suggest that everybody that falls into, and I don't know exactly what the specific criteria are, but look up MP, the internet is your friend. Look up the MPDU program and see if you're eligible. If you are able to buy these homes at a great price. Now, you're not able to build the same equity in that home as if you bought a normal on-market home. So some of the advantages of home ownership don't convey into the MPDU program. When you sell that home, the majority of the profits go back into the MPDU program to help fund helping somebody else get their next home. You do, I believe, get to retain some of that of the profits that come, but I believe it's a small amount. And I want to stress I believe, and that you should check me on this because I have enough knowledge to be dangerous about MPDUs, but not enough knowledge to truly consult on it. I know that didn't totally answer your question, Hadith, but hopefully that was helpful. Um, okay, continuing forward. If you do decide to schedule that one-on-one, I just want to make clear that there's no cost to you to do that. I'm not going to pull your credit. I'm not able to pull your credit. I'm not a lender. So I'm not going to be taking any private information and pulling your credit. People are sometimes reluctant to have their credit pulled because when you have your credit pulled in a hard pull, it does temporarily drop your credit score. But I'm not doing that, so don't worry. And I'm certainly I hope you can gather from my approach. High pressure is not why I've been successful in this business. I don't believe in pressure sales. I believe in relationship sales. So you're not going to get any pressure from me. And I don't care if you're looking to buy next week or 2 years from now. I still am happy to have a one-on-one consultation with you. So if you tell me you're not looking to buy a home until 2030, you are not going to get pressure from me. I'm not going to say, but you want to buy now because right now is right. And that's not who I am. So just want you to don't worry that that's going to happen. It's not. Why I suggest you don't need to do anything, but why I suggest you book now. You're on the sidelines. Back to a slide we looked at earlier. You're on the sidelines now, and the game is being played. So the sooner you get into the game, the sooner you become part of the machine that is building equity in real estate. So every day that you're not a homeowner is a day that you are paying somebody else's mortgage and not building equity in your own asset. So that is why I suggest you book sooner rather than later. All that said, the time for you has to be right to buy a home. If it's not the right time, it is not the time to get into the game. It's as simple as that. You have to wait for the right time for you. So going back to what I said earlier, you're not going to get any pressure from me. I mean, it sounds like, you got to get in the game because you're not in the game and the game is passing you by is sort of a pressury way to say that. But I want the caveat there that it has to be the right time for you and only you know the answer to whether or not it's the right time. You may need somebody to help, prod you to learn if it's the right time, and that is something that I potentially could help with. But ultimately, you are the one who decides if it's the right time. So you don't need to book now, but I suggest that you book now because the game, again, it's being played. So we want to get you into it as soon as you are able and as soon as it's the right time for you. This slide is pretty much consistent with what I've said for the past few slides. I don't care when you're looking to buy. That I will still be selling homes in 2030. So you're not wasting my time if that's when your target buying date is. I would love to still connect with you. And when that time is right, my hope would be that you remember that. And in 2030, we reconnect and I can help you buy your first home. So don't worry about timing as far as that goes. Also, again, I'm not pressuring you into anything. You're not signing anything. I am not even. I don't want you to sign anything. Even if you said on that first one-on-one, I'd like to sign a buyer's agency agreement with you tonight. I'm probably not going to do it because I'm probably not going to have the paperwork ready because that's not how I operate. It's never high pressure, so don't worry about that. Um, Allie, who's working on the back end for me, has put up in the chat. Let me scroll to it. I think if I scroll, maybe you can see it. A booking link. You can see it right there. You can either click on that or the QR code right there is going to take you right to a form where you can actually access my calendar. And by accessing my calendar, you can book a one-on-one session with me. It takes as long as you want it to. If you tell me I only have 10 minutes, we're going to be done in exactly 10 minutes. If you tell me that you've got a half hour, I might take your full half hour. So you let me know how much time you've got. That's how much time we'll take. I will give you as much time as you need. Michelle Rice has a question. What if you are an older person buying a home, 825 credit and an income of $62,000? How much could I afford? Michelle, great question. Your credit score at 825 is rare air. You don't see a whole lot of over 800 credit scores. And your income at 62,000 does make you able to buy a home. And that's where we're going to have I'm not a loan officer. I don't pretend to be one. I don't act like one. And I would not want to answer that question directly right now because it's not my area of expertise. I have an area of expertise. That's not it. What I do as part of my expertise is I keep people right in my back pocket or in my golf bag or in my quiver that I can pull out that do have expertise in exactly what you're asking. And what I would do is put you in touch with one of the lenders that I know and trust, and you would be able to go through with them exactly what you just said to me. Your credit score, though, I can tell you is going to be a huge asset. 825 is a great credit score. Congratulations. Yeah, this is yeah, all same QR code. I hope spots are filling up fast. But yeah, click on the QR code or click on the link, get yourself onto my calendar. After we're done talking, I'm gonna go back to this page with the QR. So if you missed it, you can get back onto it at some point. And that actually is where we are right now. The QR code is up, and I so very much appreciate that we have basically had an ongoing Q&A throughout this process. That is the best way to have these webinars. I know by having those that everybody is paying attention, everyone is interactive, and everybody gets to benefit from everybody else's questions. But I'd like to open up the floor now for anything that didn't get asked and answered, or if you'd like for me to reiterate anything that was in fact asked and answered, throw it into the chat, and we can keep this thing going for as long as we've got questions. And in the meantime, if you don't have any questions, that QR code is still sitting out there. Get on there, log in, and book our one-on-one. We do have a question. Anna Salinas, I heard that if you work in Montgomery County, you may qualify for financial assistance to buy a home in the county. Yes, that is true, Anna. There are programs where that is the case. And they are specialized programs that are offered through the county. I don't know the name of them off the top of my head, but I can tell you for sure that I have lenders that do. And I can connect you with a lender that will be able to talk to you either about the Maryland Mortgage Program, which is a really good program for anyone who lives in Maryland, and also specific county programs that only certain lenders are chosen for and they have access to. And I would be able to do some digging among my lender, my quivers, my golf clubs, and find out which one of those lenders has a loan that's specific to Montgomery County employees. I know that I've been pitched it before, so I know that there's someone in my bag that has that. You're welcome. Can you recommend anyone that works with credit? Off the top of my head, I cannot. And that question came from Renee. Thank you, Renee, for the question. Off the top of my head, Renee, I cannot, but I definitely can get one from my lender. It's typically those questions go to the lender rather than the realtor. So it's not something that I've got sitting on my phone. I generally will refer my clients to the lender that want credit repair help, and then the lender will guide them through the process of getting that credit repair help. So if we're able to connect on a one-on-one, if you don't want to do a one-on-one session and you would prefer to just email me or text me, I'll tell everybody by voice right now. I don't know if there's a slide that has all that information on it. It doesn't. My next webinar will have a slide that has all that information on it, but you can text me. Any one of you are welcome to use my private text. I'm going to give everyone a second if they don't have a pen and paper handy, so that if you want to write down my phone number, you can. It's 301 385 1524. I'm going to say it one more time. 301-385-1524. My email address is remaxandyrubin@gmail. And yes, I will spell all of that. Remaxandyrubin@gmail. Remax, Andy, Andy. And my last name is spelled Rubin, Rubin, not En like the sandwich, Rubin. So Remax, Andy, Rubin @gmail.com. You are all just, if you do hit me on text or email, just mention that you got the contact information through the webinar. And Renee, if you don't schedule a one-on-one, but you would still like for me to connect you with somebody that can help with, I think that was Renee's question. Yeah, it was. If you would still like for me to connect you with someone that could possibly help you with that, then just hit me on either of those. Oh, thank you, Allie put my phone number and my email address right up into the chat for you. So it's up there in the chat box if you didn't get a chance to write that down. And she also added that booking for one-on-ones one more time. I do very highly recommend that if you would like to get a custom pathway to your buying process done, that one-on-one is going to be valuable for you and valuable for me as well. I love getting a chance to meet people, hear about different scenarios, and work with people to help them recognize their dreams, whether that is home ownership for the first time, like so many of you on here, or a move-up purchase like what Michelle is looking for. I got another question. That's great. I'll stay on. I already had dinner. I'll stay on here as long as you guys want. Who coordinates everything? Is this primarily the loan officer, the housing counselor, the title company, or the buyer or real estate agents? That is another awesome question. I consider myself the quarterback of the team. I consider myself the person that puts himself in the middle of all of those things that you mentioned. So I would be, as a realtor, and I believe most realtors do operate the same way, that they put themselves right in the middle. They play quarterback. They're the ones that are driving all of your needs as the buyer. I as anybody representing somebody as their realtor should be the first phone call for everything you need until you've been connected to the loan officer who can then take over for that aspect and only pretty much that aspect. And then the title company who's just going to be handling title. And honestly, you don't have very much communication with them at all. That most of that communication goes through the realtor. Um, Housing counselor is really what your realtor is, Hadis. So that's not two separate jobs. Yeah, the people generally involved, if you're looking to as a buyer, there's less people involved if you're looking as a buyer, are going to be your real estate agent, your lender, and your title company. You don't need a staging company. You might need credit counseling, so that would be another person that would be involved, and that would be another aspect that would be driven by your realtor. So that's a really good question. And if you're a realtor, if you're working with a realtor who is not playing quarterback, then they're not doing it the right way. You want somebody who's basically, as I said early on in this call, is going to take all that stress off your shoulders and wear it themselves. And that's what I've been doing for 30 years. And to be honest, it's not all that much stress at this point because all of it's become second nature to me because I do it all day, every day, as opposed to somebody like you, Hadis, as a first-time home buyer who has never done it before. So to expect you to be able to operate with the efficiency and clarity of a professional realtor who does and organizes these things for other people all day, every day, would be unreasonable for any agent to expect. Good question. Anna, thank you. Thank you for the informative webinar, Mr. Rubin. You're all very welcome. I really appreciate you taking the time to share your knowledge and insights. Well, I likewise appreciate this has been the best webinar I've ever done, not because I was any better than I've ever been before, but because you guys were so interactive. You made it easy for me. You asking questions takes the monotony of me reading slides right out of the picture. So yes, you're very welcome. I'm glad and hope that you really genuinely got a lot out of this, Anna and everybody else. But I say the same to you guys. Thank you for making this the best webinar I've ever been a part of. Anybody else have anything before we call it a night? Guys, thank you so much for attending. Charlita, thank you. You learned a lot and plan to make an appointment. That's music to my ears. Music to my ears. I'll be looking for your appointment, Charlita. I can't wait to see it. Laura, thanks, Andy. This was very informative. Thank you, Laura, for joining. I'm glad you were able to make it. And B. Horton, you are welcome. And thank you, too. I look forward to hopefully getting an opportunity to meet all or most of you one on one. This has been an absolute joy. I will do these again, and you might see advertisements for them again. If you want to jump onto another one, I would love to see you again. Or if you have anybody else in your life who also might be interested in sitting in on one of these, please feel free if you see this pop up on your social media again to share the link with somebody else who might benefit from it. Oh, Hadis, many more questions, but we'll ask on one-on-one. That's exactly what the one-on-one's for. And honestly, I can't wait to have that one-on-one with you, Hadis. So yeah, make sure you get in there and schedule it. I'll be looking for it. Um, if there's nothing else, we're gonna call it a webinar for the day. And again, just again, genuinely from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys so much for making this one so enjoyable.